some?
Absolutely. You have as long as you want.
First of all, I wish that I was what I was even 2 years ago. Now my hearing is gone. I heard very little of what went on, a word here and a word there, not enough to be an honorary member of anything. I used to be able to climb on the roof and ferry bricks up for a new chimney. My husband, who couldn't do that, he sat up there with his legs this way and put the bricks in, but I ferried them up and down. So there's quite a difference in this body. And I want to warn you that step by step, your machinery will go down, and then it will start to go down and down and down. It gets pretty rusty at the end. I'm sitting because it's better for me to sit than to stand. I would lose my balance, and then you'd be calling my lifeline. I wear it all the time now, so that if I go outside and fall. You have no idea the pleasure that I have received from watching the students come and go. How much better than a housing project around me. Families are nice, but students are much more challenging. I just love seeing you hop out of your cars, and some of you walk with plodding steps.
That's no way to talk about David.
I've had 23 years alone in that house, and I have not been lonely once. I miss my husband, of course. We did everything together. He was born in the old sod shack on the property.
Wow.
His mother and father moved from Fort Langley up here with horse and wagon. Maybe it was oxen and wagon. They unhitched the wagon at this corner. I think I'm pointing in the right direction. 72nd?
Yeah.
Anyway, 72nd and 126. And they wandered through the woods this way with the stock, and then with the wheels, and then with the actual contents. Everything they owned had to be carried by hand. It really was Westerman Road, which it was until recently they call it 126. He was not alive at that time. He had a brother and a sister, older, but he was born there in 1919. When the family moved there were 3 fruit trees on the fence line, right beside your composter. I'm probably pointing in the wrong direction. And those trees were supplying apples then, and they still are. You can imagine how important those apples are to them. Anyway, he was born in 1919 in that old shack, and he lived there all his life. He never had another home. I went as a friend and visited he and his mother after we began going together. And one day, the nurse from Dr. Sinclair's office, he was a doctor, came to my house. I was down on 72nd, close to King George Highway, and she said, "Margaret, please go to that boy. His mother has just had a serious heart attack, and she's not going to live the day. I don't want him to be alone." I went in and said to my dad, "Mrs. Westerman's had a heart attack. Go. So I took his truck and drove up. And we sat with her. She lay in bed with her eyes closed. She opened her eyes briefly about 4 hours later, and she looked at Rush. And then she turned, and she looked at me, and she smiled. And I knew that she was accepting me as somebody to take care of her little boy. Anyway, we were married about 2 years later, and I was carried over the threshold, and every time I go through that door, I'm reminded of that because now that I've been alone so long. Rush died in 1984, and that makes about 23 years that I've been alone. He was in hospital with cancer throughout his whole body, and he was able to come home. He was hospital for 47 days. He came home, and he was home for 59 days. He died on the 14th of December, just before Christmas, in 1984. And was able to die at home where he wanted to. His mother died there, he died there, and I hope I will die there. If I don't, well, at least my spirit will be dying there. Being alone happens to most of us sometime. Whatever you do, don't let it get your spirit down. Just remember to look at all the good things that are happening in your life. I go now down to Wally, as most of you know, to help feed the homeless. Nothing can please me more than to see a guy sit down and just, oh, this is so good. They haven't eaten, some of them, for 3 days. And we give them breakfast every Saturday morning. So you see me with my walker. I go up to Sabzi Mandy every day, and Sabzi Mandy gives me a banana box full of fruit and vegetables. Exactly what they need. They don't need more donuts. They need vitamins. And so I sit and make fruit salad and put raspberry jello over it so it won't go bad. You know, you're using damaged fruit. I make potato cakes, roll them in cornflakes and take those down. Whatever food I have, I dispense. We get shoes and we get them out. Sure, they're worn shoes, but they're better than no shoes, better than shoes that are falling off. I wanted you to know this because if you have considered that I am helping Quantman, I'm doing far less than you are doing for me. Just being there. Just seeing those students. That's all I need to keep going. You know now why I'm busy all the time. Why Derek caught me cleaning out the sink, which hasn't, the cupboard under the sink, which hasn't been cleaned for 2 years. Ever since I fell, I haven't been able to get down and get in there. Today I managed to get down. He no sooner left than a friend of mine came and we built and set a rat trap in the garage because now that I've got food in the garage, the rats are moving in. Can't do. You students, you can. I hope you enjoy your time here at Quantman. Never forget that you can always come and knock on the door and say, hi, I was one of the guys that sat at that table. You won't remember me, but I'll remember what you were doing.
All right, thank you very much. Now, would you like to go and take advantage of your discount? You get a discount at the Oasis Lounge.
It's our cafe.
Yes.
The fact that I can't
Grassroots Cafe,
hear
sorry.
properly makes it difficult for me to follow what's going on. And first thing you know, I'll be asleep. I start at 5 o'clock most mornings.
Wow.
And go to bed at 12.
Wow.
Longer.